All right. So, good evening, everyone. This is Adrian with Halo Defense Solutions, and we have here Dante, also with
Halo Defense Solutions.
Today we're just going to be talking about escalation, de-escalation, how to avoid dangerous situations and not so dangerous situations. Just tactics and sort of like philosophy and approaches. At the end of this talk, we're also going to offer a book because I want to have a book for everybody so that we can all do our learning in more ways than one. And that's about it right now. Anything you want to say? Just the intro.
No, I'm good. You set it up.
So, all right, I appreciate that. So, what are some things, Dante, you would like to share with people regarding personal protection as it relates to escalation, de-escalation, avoiding, and just staying safe and overall? That's the whole purpose of everything, is that you stay safe, stay out of trouble. You don't have to hurt anybody, and you don't get hurt. That's the goal.
Right.
So what do you got for us?
So, I mean, it's basically like the things we were seeing in class all the time is that when you surround yourself with stupid people, or you put yourself in stupid situations, stupid things are bound to happen.
Mm-hmm.
The fact is that you're always going to run into stupid people. You know what I mean? It's just a reality, whether it's at work, out at the movies, while you're in the store, you know what I mean, at the mall, whatever the case may be. You're always going to run into stupid people. There are always going to be stupid people out there. So the question becomes what you do when you're faced with those people. And based off the way that you react to things, your the way you talk to people, the way that your body language when confronting people, all of that will determine how far and how fast a situation escalates. One thing that I've learned since coming into adulthood is that it's not always, everything doesn't require a fight. As a child and, in high school and everything, it didn't take much to get me to fight, It was...
something to do.
Yeah, pretty much. Something to do. You say something about me, you stepped on my sneakers, whatever it was, you know what I mean? And I was just ready to go to war. Where now, as an adult, I realize that just because you stepped on my sneakers doesn't mean that, now I got to punch you in the back of your head or something. You know what I mean? So, it's, you know what I mean? Those are the type of situations you can walk away from.
Big ups to Gritty.
Right. You can always walk away from somebody saying something to you. You know what I mean? You can walk away from somebody stepping on your sneakers. And that's what I tell people all the time. As long as you can walk away. Until someone puts you, your family, or your friends in danger, and physical danger, there's no need for you to put yourself in a bad situation. Because, let's say somebody says something to you, they keep talking, and you decide you want to shut them up. Now you put your hands on them and seriously hurt this person. Now, you're sitting in the jail cell waiting to go to trial for an assault charge. You know what I mean? So that kind of stuff just really isn't worth it. You have to know when to fight and when not to fight. You know what I mean? You have to know when to run and when not to run. Sometimes running is simply just the better option. If you're faced with something that you don't know or that you don't understand, then you should get away from it. When I was 14 and I was training in martial arts, I started learning how to disarm people with knives. I was walking home one night from school, and there was a guy who was going to rob me. He was trying to rob me, and he pulled out a knife. He pulled out the first knife. I'm not worried about that. I take that, John. And then he pulled out the second knife, and I was unsure about the situation.
I trained for one. I trained for two knives.
I wasn't ready for the second knife. So I ran.
We're gonna have to come back to that.
So I ran.
What did you do in the course of him trying to rob you that he decided he needed another knife to double down? Why?
Well, so as I said, I've been training in martial arts and everything, and I knew how to disarm people.
You say, yeah.
Plus, I wasn't I wasn't the most well controlled person. You know what I mean? So I said a lot of stuff. You know, I talked a lot of trash. So when he pulled out the knife,
cut you twice.
Yeah, when he pulled out the knife, I was like, "You sure you want to do that? Like, before you hurt yourself." You might want to think twice. And then he thought twice and pulled out a second knife. So
I like this dude, yo. I like this mugger. Hey, if you watching Mugger, hit me up, yo. We do some training, yo. I like this guy. I got some jobs for you.
If you watching Mugger, I got something else for you. No, see, that's the escalation we were talking about. No, but on a serious note, the guy put out a second knife, and I wasn't sure what to do. I didn't know how to disarm him and defend against the second knife, so I ran.
Smart move.
I got away. I was able to go to class the next night, and I was talking to my martial arts instructor, and I'm like, "Yo, this is what happened." I explained the story to him, and he was like, "So when he put out the second knife, you instantly thought to run?" So I was like, "Yes." And when he first said it, I thought that he was about to drill into me and everything. That he was about to yell at me, and I was gonna get in trouble for running. And he was like, "That was smart. That was the best thing that you could have done." He's like, "Because if you didn't know what to do, or if you were unsure about what to do, then you weren't going to do anything but get yourself hurt or killed." So I say all that to say, when you're faced with a situation and you're unsure about how to defend yourself in it, there's no shame in running. Running allows you to live another day. Running allows you to learn how to later defend yourself in that situation.
All right, there's some good points. I appreciate you sharing that story. There's several good things he said, or you said. He said, you got to train.
Absolutely.
You got to know your limits. You got to know when and where to act. You had already thought about, if someone does X, Y, and Z, I could do A, B, and C. But when he was met with something that he did not consider, he made a choice to extract himself from the situation. Those are all very good decisions. You have to know what your limits are. You have to know your environment, and most importantly, you have to know what your goal is. Right. I mean, you got someone trying to mug you. It's not a sport. It's not for fun. It's not to prove anything to anybody. It's life and death. Right. And you recognizing that, decided to move yourself from a situation. Same thing with me. Like, I've never been mugged before. I don't know why. I mean, I guess I'm an easygoing guy. I don't know. People don't try to mug me ever. I've never been mugged. But if someone were to try to mug me, I would just give them whatever materials they would want. The only thing I would not do is allow them to take my life or take me to a new zip code. I'm not traveling in trunks and handcuffs behind. Nah, you not take me places. And I've made that decision now, so I know if we get to that point where someone's like, "Hey, get in the car, get in the trunk, go with me here," I already know that's not going to work. Right. So that allows me to, instead of figuring out what I want to do, I can instantly move. Another thing you could do, which I've done before when people have tried to jump me, I've never successfully been jumped. People have tried. It's always failed. Quite hilariously. It's funny, bro. It's funny, bro. Oh, man. So my whole, this is what my life has taught me about people who try to jump people. They get 5, 6, 10, 20, I've seen as many as 30 or 40 people. And they're hoping that, like, out of all of us, maybe one of us know how to fight. Right. Or, if all of us get together, he won't be able to fight, so overwhelmed. But we got to stick together, because otherwise we have no chance. And that being the philosophy, I've always been able to prove that philosophy was erroneous, that none of y'all can't fight, and y'all ain't enough to fight. Right.
We used to say that, not to cut you off, we used to say that in high school. Me, Darrell, Leon, Tony, we used to say that to people who thought they were going to jump us. We would say, it's not enough of y'all. It's never enough of y'all. All right? You might get me right now.
Definitely.
But when I come back with my brothers,
in the squad,
and my cousins in the squads, you know what I mean? It's never enough of y'all.
Yeah, we supposed to be talking about de-escalation, man.
I'm sorry.
All right, so
violence, man.
So,
de-escalation.
So, following what Tay said as well, growing up in a impoverished environment, aka Philadelphia. If you don't know, Philadelphia is the ghetto in the hood. It's changing now, but let's say 2000 below, it was ghetto in the hood. So you were from Philly, you were from the ghetto. But you have to know how to escalate when needed. There are times when escalation is needed. Time you would need to escalate is when someone is presenting a threat, and you need to escalate to basically show that you're not a target, you're not prey, you're a predator. That is not going to be the fight that they want. And to get the preemptive sometimes. I know there's a group of people, I always tell people in my classes, if you feel uncomfortable, you gotta the hairs on your back of your neck coming up, you don't have to try to necessarily rationalize why. There's a reason that you feel uncomfortable around this person or in this situation. And if you feel that way, you said as a joke growing up, I don't know if y'all say it, but if you make me jump or flinch, I'm hitting you.
Oh, yeah.
So you watch like those little Vine videos of them scaring the black kids and stuff. Black kids, the smart ones, as soon as they jump, they're hitting.
Well, that was something that I was taught in martial arts. That was something that was drilled into me in martial arts. If someone makes you flinch, then you should be swinging. It means you were scared. You know what I mean? Like that's just the reality of it. If you did something to make me flinch, it means you scared me.
Yeah.
And if you scared me, I now need to defend myself.
Yeah.
And for some reason, for one reason or another, I saw you as a threat at that moment. So, and that's what flinching is. You saw someone or something as a threat at that moment. And, there's nothing wrong with defending yourself at that moment.
Fear is a good instinct. You just have to learn how to recognize it and then use that information of the fearful stimulus into something positive, actionable. There's a real good
This does not say de-escalation, so I'm going to put that
down. I know since I have reached adulthood and since I started taking martial arts, same thing for me, I was much more controlled because I knew what the danger of force was and how serious it was to use force against someone. I knew what stuff looked like when you hurt people bad. And also I gained the self-control and kind of mindset to, one, avoid things where people do a lot of egotistical stuff trying to prove who's dominant and stuff. And then 2, just not putting myself in those situations. And 3, just not taking stuff too serious. If someone says something, I don't gotta smash his face or her face. I do. I am an equal opportunity. If you got a reason for me to beat you, you getting to beat.
Well, I believe in self-defense. I don't think that men should put their hands on women. I also don't think that women should put their hands on men.
Nobody should put hands on anybody.
Right. That's just a reality. If you're at the point where you feel like, you should put your hands on somebody, you should also be at the point where you expect them to put their hands on you back. That's just what it is. I don't teach my daughter, it doesn't matter what you do, a boy shouldn't hit you, because that gives her the wrong message. You know what I mean? That tells her that she can hit him, spit on him, kick him, bite him, and he's supposed to just stand there and take it. No, that's not how the world works. You do that to somebody and they're going to defend themselves. And then she'll be standing there looking, stupid, my dad said you weren't supposed to do that. No, that's not how this works. I teach her you're not supposed to put your hands on anybody. You know what I mean? You keep your hands to yourself. You're not supposed to show violence towards anyone unless you have no other option.
Going back to escalation, de-escalation, you have to be able to recognize different things. And the only way you can do that is through experience, be it real experience or mock experience, so like doing scenarios and drills and stuff like that. And when you are doing drills and scenarios, you have to make sure that they are realistic in the sense that they get your heart rate up, they get your pupils dilated, they start dumping those different chemicals into your body to get your body into the fight or flight response, because you have to practice those things. So when you go through those things, you're going to learn there are times for escalation, there's times for de-escalation, but more importantly, you will learn how to identify things as they're happening. A lot of people, when they get hurt, it's because they don't recognize the signs of an imminent violent attack. You have to understand the body posturing, the verbalization, the tensing up, people furrowing their brows, closing the distance. There's so many of these things that you can recognize as, oh, someone's about to attack. And then you can decide, which I often do, I just check people point blank, because sometimes people aren't even aware themselves. They start tensing up, and you see the shoulders coming up. Men do this a lot. The shoulders get all big. I'll be like, yo, my man, you look a little tense. You cool? And then, like, they will either escalate, like, oh, or they'll be like, oh, yo, you right, like, I'm getting a little hype. Because the you cool don't work, then you gotta dust them. You gotta dust them up. You cool?
Right.
I was just saying a whack.
So, following de-escalation, like you said, paying attention to the signs, paying attention to the body language, will tell you if...
My fault. So the you cool was a sample of de-escalation, because I could have said something else.
Right.
And then from there I can determine what I got to go ahead.
Right. Paying attention to the signs will allow you to determine what's coming next. If you're having a conversation with someone, and while you're talking to them, they keep inching closer and closer to you, or trying to get around to your side while they're talking to you.
You don't gotta be close to someone to talk to.
Right, that person is getting ready to hit you.
About to line him up.
Yeah, that's like you said. That's when he's lining you up. You know what I mean? Or just so paying attention to those kind of signs are very important. Like Adrian just said, even when you're talking to people, you can have a level of aggression while still remaining calm. Like you just said, the whole like you tensing up, you cool. There's a level of aggression there that says, I see and realize that you have a problem.
Yeah.
And before we go any further, I need to make sure, you're good, or that you're gonna be able to calm yourself down. While at the same time, you cool is something, that it's not something that sounds threatening.
No, it isn't. It's not an aggressive type thing. You could say it certain ways. It's all about intonation and body posture. But like with me too, a lot of times
that was just something he said to me on a daily basis. I had some other issues, so by the time I was like 13, I was a really angry person. So at that time, between like 13 and 16, you could say hi to me and I might want to fight you. I was a really angry person. Yeah, so
why you so happy?
So my dad used to tell me all the time, let stuff roll off your back. Everything doesn't require a response. Mm-hmm. Just because someone says something doesn't mean you have to fight. Mm-hmm. And if you ask my dad today, he'll tell you that when he first found out that I was getting certified to carry a firearm, he was terrified. He was not happy about it. He just knew that I was going to end up killing someone or getting myself killed. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He just couldn't picture me carrying the fire. He couldn't get past that stage of my childhood. He didn't know that.
Well, what would you say that from your childhood and that stuff, and until being someone who carries a firearm in their day-to-day profession, what changed and what would you suggest to people to help them get there sooner?
So, I started doing martial arts, and this may sound like a cliche to some people, or it may sound unreal to some people, but it's the truth. Martial arts really changed my life because it taught me self-discipline, control, determination, and confidence. Mm-hmm. Martial arts was a place where I could go, get on the floor, and I could put it all on the floor. I could yell, I could scream, I could punch, I could kick. You know what I mean? I could do all of that. I could put my aggression on the floor. And my instructor, who was at the time Master Andrew Walker, who's now Grandmaster Andrew Walker,
your good brother.
He made sure that was going to be the case. You know what I mean? Through I I gave my blood, sweat, and tears. You know what I mean? To changing myself, to changing who I was.
Something better.
Right, and into something better. That was my outlet.
Coincidentally, same thing for me.
Right.
That, learning martial arts, and Black history.
Yeah.
Black history, knowing where I came from, knowing about those who sacrificed before me and what they gave. Learning a little bit about my family history and how none of them were no punks and how much they fought. It made me realize, like, I had to do better and I had to carry myself in a certain way that was of a higher caliber. You need to have a good idea about who you are, what you want out of life, what things have value to you, be it your materials, be it family, be it your honor, whatever. You gotta figure out those things. But I implore you, start somewhere. Start having those conversations. Just like you might speak to your God about stuff, speak to yourself about who you want to be and how you want to handle things.
Find an outlet. Being able to do something to vent your frustration, to just being able to have a time of day where you can go and just relax, not have to worry about things, not have to think about what's going on in the world. And that's what martial arts was for me. It was, I could go to class and for 2 hours in a day I didn't have to think about anything but martial arts. You know what I mean? As I got older, it went from, while martial arts still remained a very big part of my life, I started working, and I decided I like money. I like money. I like having money, and I was working at the hospital, and I almost lost my job because I had gotten into it with the supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
I got into it with him real bad, and I turned around and punched the wall. And when I punched the wall,
they're like, "Oh, he's violent."
Yeah, the wall cracked from where I punched it up to the ceiling. It was a whole thing. It just so happened that there was a camera back there, and the director saw how things escalated. But I almost lost my job. You know what I mean? So
almost won a stupid prize.
Right.
Stupid thing.
Right. So I got to the point where I was like, look, I'm not going to let anybody or anything stop my money.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I like having money. I like being able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. In order to do that, I need to have money. In order to have money, I need to have a job. You know what I mean? So that was the next thing that
gave you focus.
Right. That gave me focus. That led me to the next step in my life. And then, of course, the biggest thing being my daughter. Once I had my daughter, I knew then that I wasn't going to do anything that would put her in harm's way. And I say that meaning I'm not going to do anything when she's with me or when she's not with me. Because even, if something happens to me and I'm not there to raise her, you know what I mean? I'm not there to guide her into adulthood, then I've put her in harm's way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
that's real talk.
Right. So having that mindset, now it's like very rarely will I end up in a situation that's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And it normally stems from someone who's a friend.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Someone needed my help. Who I cared for, right? Yeah. Who I cared for on some level, so I went to go help. But me myself, I don't get into situation. As a matter of fact, I don't deal with those people anymore. I mainly hang out with you. So
smart man.
I guess. Don't deal with those people anymore, man.
All right. I guess we get ready to wrap it up. We're going to be offering some free workshops. We're going to also have some paid workshops. The difference between the two is a free workshop is an hour, maybe 2 hours. A paid workshop will be somewhere between 3 hours to 2 days or whatever for the courses. And you get different types of levels of instruction. We have some stuff coming up in the spring. We're going to be doing some dynamic pistol shooting, some outdoor range stuff. We're going to be doing some unarmed tactics to have people go through different scenarios. I'm also working on currently building curriculum and going around and offering to free like anti-rape, anti-kidnapping training, sex trafficking, all that stuff is very bad news. I want to warn people. There's a lot of gimmicky self-defense packages being sold where they have like those little cat ear claws on your key ring, pink. The color doesn't matter. I'm just saying like pink little electric zappers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
All those things are just gimmicks to get you to spend some money so you can feel safe, get a real tool or instrument for self-protection, and get real training with it. You're not going to find that in a little cute $39, $49, $59, $99 package. You have to go out and spend some money. It's an investment. Don't think of it. You spend money on your clothing, your alcohol, or whatever, your sneaker heads, your CrossFit training, all that other stuff. If you want to get fit, do some real training and learn. And you can find that around. Just make sure whoever you go with is reputable. We're going to be selling the patches for this is the Church of Mando.
Yeah.
They're going to be ready soon. We also have some Hill Defense Solutions patches coming out, PVC. We have some the cloth ones as well. So make sure you're following us on Instagram. That's where a lot of our content is right now. The website is down. Someone hacked it. Maybe it's the Russian bots. Maybe it's the CIA. Who knows? But we're going to be building a new website.
Too much now.
I know. So I'm going to build up a new website. The book I referenced earlier, always try to expand your knowledge in more ways than one, is Facing Violence by Rory Miller. And every podcast I'm going to have some sort of resource for you guys to go to add another layer to your training. Anything you want to say before we get on?
No, there's one thing I do want to. I just feel I need to say this, just because it's one of the things that we teach, and one of the things I practice. Firearms. We didn't touch on de-escalation with firearms, or escalation with firearms.
You're right.
Just really quickly and very
take your time.
Very importantly, just because you have it doesn't mean you should use it. Know when
you know how to use it.
Right. Know when you can and cannot pull out your firearm
legally.
Right. Know the law in your state. When you in whatever state you travel to, know the law there. When you can and can't pull out your firearm. When you can and can't fire the firearm. I used to tell people all the time, when you pull out a firearm, you've now opened a door that you cannot close. Whether you fire it or not, whether you shoot the person or not,
you cross the threshold.
Right, you've crossed the threshold. You've opened the door that you cannot close. There's no coming back from that. You've made a decision that you have to follow through to the end. So before putting yourself in that situation,
you better be sure.
Right, you need to be 100,000% sure. You need to know,
and the only way you know that is by training properly. And
exactly,
doing that stuff ahead of time.
Get the training. Know that you're comfortable if and when you have to pull out that firearm.
Know that you know where the firearm is.
Right. Carry
it the same place every time. If you are about to go out, practice drawing from that setup you have, and make sure you can draw it the way you want.
Whenever I get a new holster, I spend no less than 45 minutes unholstering and holstering the gun. No less than 45 minutes, just so that I know that when I go out today, if I have to, I know where it is, and I always carry, especially on personal carry, I always carry my firearm in the same exact spot. I don't care, even if I'm carrying a firearm and I'm like, oh man, this ended up being uncomfortable with this particular firearm.
Be uncomfortable
for that day. I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Until I can get back home where I'm safe to readjust.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But otherwise, I'll be uncomfortable. Why? Because I know where my firearm is. I know that I can get to it, and I know that I can get it out, and you know what I mean, be able to get into the fight if that's what I have to do. But when carrying a firearm, me personally, it is always my absolute last resort. The first thing I'm going to try to do is talk to you. If for some reason we can't talk, if for some reason talking isn't working, then I will fight you. And if you take it beyond a fight and you make this a life or death situation, then I'm going to do what I have to do to protect my life.
Yep. You ain't got time to die.
Right. Colin Noir on Instagram put up a post. I saw it and I agree with it. It said that I have the right to have the means to defend the one thing I cannot get back if I lose it, my life.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's true. Like, that's 100% true. No one will ever hear me say that you shouldn't have your firearm or you shouldn't use your firearm if you have to. What I will tell you is this: know when you can and cannot use it. Know when you should and should not use it. Just because you can use it doesn't mean you should use it. Because what happened is, you may have been in accordance with the law. To your knowledge, you may have been in accordance with the law, but what's going to happen is, while you're sitting in a cell waiting to go to trial, you're going to have people. You're going to have defense attorneys. You're going to have judges. You're going to have the jury who's going to be looking at this case, and they're going to take months to look at it and dissect every decision that you made, to dissect everything that you've done. And that's what they're going to say to you. Just because you could do it doesn't mean you should have done it.
Yeah.
So that's something to take into account too.
Law in general is based off of what a reasonable person would do.
Right.
And you have to be, once again, going back to what we said earlier, you have to be able to recognize the components and articulate.
Absolutely.
Because that's what they're going to do. When they're trying you in court, they're going to look at the components and dissect it. There's an expression that is better be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Just do your training. Go out and get exposure so they can know what you are comfortable with, what you can and can't do, and go from there. Make sure you're going to training. We're going to have some coming up. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, but Instagram is the main one right now. Sign up for a course. We offer couples and individual training, first time, new CCW, and all that stuff. And if you want to get your NR instructor certification, you hit us up for that as well. All right. Well, as always, bring success from within, and stay safe.
Stay trained, stay prepared, stay safe. This is the way.
All right, peace.